humans is I, Envy, with a little bit of a little announcement to make. From this day forward, there will be one video per day, so don't get your hopes up. And pretty much, if you basically have a complaint, then go ahead, see if I can. What? Not helping. She pretty much would know. He basically is being a little bit of a brat. If you must know, don't believe his lies. I will be uploading more videos, but I'll upload them whenever I feel like it. Take it, let's. Shut up. Thanks. Anyways, this video here is... a sec. This video here is actually been uploaded today, and well, I didn't really have the time to look through it, but I did see some of it. And I know it's gonna get loud, I know it will, so I'm just gonna keep it on a certain volume. And if you basically would like to see more of what other types of videos, feel free to leave a comment below of what you would like me to react to. And also, if you basically have any ideas, feel free to let me hear them out. Without further ado, let's pretty much see what's up. And this is the Versus.
Okay, so today we're gonna be doing an anime discussion. About the 2003 series and
Envy.
Brotherhood.
It looks like he's pulled out the peace sign or something. Peace.
I think the first thing that we'll go over is the characters.
No, wait. 03 Envy. Peace.
So...
Okay.
First we'll go over the Elric Brothers. What was your opinion about the Elric Brothers?
Word stuttering. I get that too.
Obviously have experienced a lot.
Oh, they sure have. In both series.
And their brothers.
I would say that Alphonse probably in Brotherhood, maybe he seemed to be more independent in a way than in the 2003 series, but at the same time, I would say that we got to see a lot more conflict between them. Whereas in Brotherhood, it didn't. They didn't really.
In 03, the brothers were
fight
together.
At all. They didn't argue that much.
Yeah,
however, in both series, the relationship would be about the same.
Yeah, I could say
pretty
that.
much. Strong bond.
I would say that they relied on each other a lot more in the 2003 series than in Brotherhood, and in some ways, I like that.
Yeah.
And
I like the relationship in 03 because, well, it just showed them that they are.
It was also Roy.
They are brothers. And
okay,
not just saying that they are, but there's.
What was your opinion about Roy in
how
the
strong
2003 series?
He had a lot more depth than the 2009 overall.
Yeah, Roy.
What is the Brotherhood OVA? The 4th Brotherhood OVA? I could say that the Roy, it was very interesting, the twist with Roy being the one to actually be the one to kill Winry's parents.
Wait, the OVA,
I like that.
But, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the death of Winry's parents.
In my opinion, Scar,
what the heck is that going on?
I think that it affected Roy a lot more than it did Scar, because Roy, it actually gave him a motivation not to just blindly follow the military's orders.
Yeah, that's what Roy was doing in Brotherhood.
What did it really do to him? Did it really change him as a person? Remember how whenever Winry, it actually affected Roy about Winry, but whenever Winry found out about that, which I have questions about why she just so happened to be in the area
come back later.
to hear that. But about Scar, like he even threatened her life he didn't really show too much sympathy. He
said
you could
say that Scar's not a fan of the Edwin shipping.
That if she decided to shoot, that she would be his enemy at that point. In other words, he didn't really care.
Way, girl.
It almost seemed like he didn't really care. I don't really think that affected his development. Oh yeah, and
by the way, these pictures are going to change.
Sure, it tied in with his character, but I
like
really
how it starts off with the homunculi picture. That is
really
great.
Liked how Brotherhood, 2003 series expressed the military's corruption, that they'd even kill their own people for just helping the enemy.
Yeah.
Because they're doctors, and I really
in 03, it's much more dark.
But they went through the
I'd say it's kind of about the same,
even with
but
Yoki
it doesn't
too,
act
they
as
expressed
shady.
how corrupt he was.
Yeah, Yoki.
Yoki, they completely left that out. I mean,
AKA,
I don't really like how
2.0,
to be able to
but
really
less
understand
likable.
some of the aspects of Brotherhood. You've either had to read the manga or you've had to watch the 2003 series.
Yeah,
they're just
like
things
I said
like
before
anime,
in my reaction video.
The first episode of Brotherhood.
You probably want to start with 03 first,
not very
the
easy
manga,
to understand
just to understand what's
and
going on.
And I think they did a
and
very good job even developing those events better too.
03 is very different compared
but then
to
at the same time, if
Brotherhood.
Somebody prefers a faster paced story, they're going to like Brotherhood more. But if they prefer a more in-depth characterization and stuff, and finding the origins of certain things, I find it interesting how Edward kind of just knew that he didn't have to use a transmutation circle in the Brotherhood and in the manga in a way, but in 2003 we actually get to see him first learn whenever he knows how to use it. Whenever he's
03 was
in a moment
lot
of stress.
more paced and building things up.
Remember how with
characters, but Brotherhood,
whatever her name is,
like
Gracia.
I said, they rushed through season 1, so I highly suggest you watch
she's about to have her
03
baby
first.
Yes.
So that you get things, what's going on, why these characters are important, blah 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 blah.
The one who helped.
It's basically if you
the baby.
in case to make sure you aren't confused.
Delivered the baby and
then you
they even have
you
the
should watch
extra
Brotherhood.
bit where or Edward.
You can do it either way. It's fine. I'm not judging or anything, but just to make sure you don't get confused, guys.
Amazement.
Anyways,
words.
It really developed Alphonse and Edward's relationship in the 2003 series. Many people complain about how slow it is in Brotherhood, but I actually respect that. That's something, because at points I just had a hard time growing attached to the characters in Brotherhood because of how fast they skimmed over things. The humor, that's something I've heard. The humor is a complaint about Brotherhood that I've heard.
They're
Sometimes
very different
it takes
in both
away
series.
from the depth of the scenes, like whenever Rose finds out something like that, it's different. In the 2003 series, it's different. Most of the time, there is a bit of humor in the 2003 series, but it's very common for them to just
03 definitely had its
put a humorous scene and something that's supposed to be really deep.
They balanced it out pretty well. Brotherhood, on the other hand,
sometimes I find the humor really inappropriate for Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay at points. Sometimes it's just a bit overboard. It's supposed to be a really emotional scene, but then they just water it down with inappropriate humor.
Yeah, the humor itself really isn't that inappropriate, but it's the timing.
Yeah, it's bad timing for a lot of the scenes. I'm just like, sometimes it's just like so inappropriate timing. I'm just like, why? Why did you have to put it now? It was getting so emotional, so sad, and then you just make it humorous. Like, that's not how you're supposed to handle certain things.
It's not Family Guy, for crying out loud.
Scar. I was mentioning about Scar being the one to kill Winry's parents in Brotherhood. I don't really fully know what to think of that scene. As I said, I kind of have questions, like, she just happens to be walking by and finds out that Scar is the one who killed Winry. She's the one who killed her parents. and she just kind of goes ballistic at that. Some people complain
I had the picture
that it's just not really in her character.
You have the
to just
first and the
lose her
second
temper
degree
like
right there.
that.
And Envy of Brotherhood looks
I
very
can understand
short
to a
there
degree,
compared to
and
Envy.
while I definitely find that scene very emotional, I also respected the way they handled it in the 2003 series with how she just kind of accepts it. She ain't going to try to kill him because she knows he's not the worst person. She knows he's not a bad person.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of human. It's subtle, but it's very human the way they handle it. And how Roy, while he's not ashamed to admit doing it, at the same time he doesn't want to face Winry because of that.
Can't say I blame him.
The only thing I'm really disappointed about that is that they did not show the scene in Conquerors of Shambhala. They were supposed to at least talk to each other, which was amazing.
That were cut out
but
because
they didn't include that, so
to save on time.
I was kind
It would have been a little more better if they included some of these scenes, but nope.
Story. Let's try to go with the story. What did you find about the story in those?
Short. But
Well, let me see. Both had an overall decent storyline.
Yeah, overall they both had a pretty good story, and for the setting they were, it was very fitting. Like if you like action, sci-fi, shonen, a typical happy ending,
like Star Wars,
the heroes in the end survive and they end up able to eventually go back to the life they were used to, then you might like Brotherhood.
God.
Yeah, Brotherhood. But
that
the 2003
ending.
series, I think that I like the dark nature of the ominous,
as much as
the
omniscience
omniscience or ominous.
And all,
I can't remember the
I
word
have
I
to
used.
admit,
Omniscience
just
of
the way the story,
2003 series,
and the nature of the show
it's
was
like
actually
so much
a lot
darker
more,
than Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Whereas in Brotherhood, you get an overall happy feeling because they worked that hard to get where they are. But in the 2003 series, you get more of a bittersweet ending.
Man.
And in a certain way, I guess some people would
Sorry,
agree
I had to go
that
with my
maybe
Brotherhood sloth impression.
it would have been more realistic if Alphonse, if Edward had died, or Alphonse had died to sacrifice
but Al was
himself
actually
to bring back Edward or whatever and left with that.
But
I don't really know what to feel about that because
he should have died
at the
from
same
those
time,
times, but nope.
I guess it fit along with the what they did. How was it they brought him back?
Envy.
Wasn't it because Alphonse was a Philosopher's Stone?
Yeah, he was.
Yes. Alphonse used pretty much the entire power of the or actually the entirety of the Philosopher's Stone's power to bring back Edward, who had just been killed by Envy.
Yeah. Okay, that brings to another thing about the enemies. The enemies, either Dante or Father. The reason I prefer Dante is because she's not as cliche as Father.
Yeah.
Father, as soon as you saw him, you knew he was a big
Whoops,
bad,
he's a big baddie.
ego-driven
He's a baddie, guys.
thing about not as cliche as Zero from Fairy Tale, which I like Fairy Tale, but that guy, he's awful. He's just so cliche.
We might as well carry on,
then
guys.
you have Father, who's this. In the end, he claims he wanted knowledge, but his actions didn't really speak that. His actions didn't really feel like that all throughout the series, and then all you hear at the end is he wanted knowledge.
Aside from just being the final boss, that's about it.
It was more of a weak. It was a very weak attempt at giving him character. In my opinion, that's what I felt. And then Dante.
Envy did a bit better in Brotherhood.
A lot of people complain about the final fight and stuff in with 2003 series, and as I understand, her death was very anticlimactic. They could have given her a scene where she actually had taken Rose's body or did something else with it. But overall, I really like Dante's character because you didn't suspect a thing until it was kind of hinted at, until the characters started suspecting it.
What made me shocked about is the fact that she was Envy's mom.
You literally don't think a thing whenever you see her.
Pretty much explains where the sadistic side came from.
It was like shoved in your face. It's like, wait, what?
Not even Hohenheim knew she was operating in the background until her name was mentioned.
Like Voldemort.
I know, and that was, like, one thing. That was one of the high... Some people may like how... Some people like the happy ending of Brotherhood. Some people like dramatic, well, actually, it was probably the wrong word. The,
super cheesy.
The climatic feel of Brotherhood. It actually...
all this human emotion.
It actually gave Father was so much more powerful than Dante, but that's something I liked about Dante, is she's just a human. How far could she really go? It was a more accurate representation of a sociopath than somebody who's just a god. Father was cliche because he was
God
just
wannabe.
Like, he had a god complex.
Dante also had such, but she is relatable.
Yeah, Dante was very relatable. The way she looked down on humans, despite being a human, was realistic in a sense. And it's just... She's talking about how selfish humans can be for their own gain and stuff. And then her whole speech to Edward about equivalent exchange, that whole thing was pretty good.
Also, the scene was kind of in a...
At the same time, it shows just how evil she is. That she was willing to create mass genocide just to live forever, which, depending on the person, somebody could be so fearful of death, if given those powers, they could go to those lengths. And because of her just being human, she wasn't all powerful and didn't regenerate like the homunculi. Like, Father. Well, wait, no, Father didn't regenerate, did he?
Actually, he
or did he? I can't remember.
It's pretty obvious that Father did regenerate.
He may have had very limited regenerative.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. I didn't think he was a regenerative thing, but still, I'm saying that he was so powerful. Dante was humanly powerful, given those powers, given alchemy. It's a very accurate representation of what could go wrong. And I felt, personally, that her death was fitting because she failed to see the need of her own creations. She failed to see the need of, I wouldn't say creation, but what she brought into the world, just like with Envy, and Envy had been brought into the world, but she failed to see the need of gluttony, the emotional needs of gluttony, whenever he was so desperate about lust, that she just basically cut off his emotional...
Again, I felt so sorry for these homunculi.
She has control over the
It's because of his,
Ouroboros tattoos.
Yeah, so she cut off his emotional ability, and just left him as a mindless creature that was nothing but eating. And because of that, it led to her downfall. Yeah. And even though it was anticlimactic, she literally deserved that. That was the ultimate price you have to pay. She had to pay for the way she just down-minded people's emotions and stuff. It was very fitting in a sense. While as it may have not been as action-packed or as expected as Brotherhood, because Brotherhood really brought out some... It did some amazing job with action and animation and stuff. Then again, I have some questions about the last fight, like the very ending where Edward is just punching the guy in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that brings another question. What about the homunculi?
Well,
Greedling, man. Greed. That was... I would say they did a relatively good job with Greed in 2003 series, because having Edward kill him, that forced Edward to have to change his philosophy. His philosophy throughout the entire series of not killing people. That's what changed him. He also revealed the way to take down homunculi.
But the problem
is
that
Edward, and he helped the story
the other homunculi
and but at the same time, we also
Gluttony can't be killed because they had no remains to be weakened by
Brotherhood.
Even if they did have the circle,
really cool. I don't like when people say, "Oh, it's cheesy," how Greed just said that all he wanted was friends, because he had already had friends all along. It wasn't like that was just something new. That's one thing I really did like about Brotherhood was the way they had the Greed Ling later on, how they kind of brought him back and stuff. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, and then Raph was another exception in Brotherhood. Raph was really great in Brotherhood, whereas he had a lot more development in Brotherhood, but not as much so in the other series. In the other series, he was just kind of awful. He was just kind of a bad person. But I did like how 03 spent more time showing such a quote-unquote good person Raph was, how upsetting
actually Pride in the 2003 is Pride in 2003.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to calling him Raph because of that.
Yeah,
but either
that's
way,
a little confusing.
and again, I'm also
which is
used
why
to
I call
Raph. I don't know, but
this version
you can also call him
Bradley in
Fuhrer Bradley. I'll just call him Fuhrer Bradley. But anyway, the Fuhrer in the 03 series, they do a better job of
subtly and hiding his identity as a homunculus.
You think he's this upstanding person and everything. He really fits in and stuff for a long time until it's kind of shoved in your face that he's the one behind, that he's
honestly,
Pride.
I did not
you don't
see
really
that coming.
Suspect it.
Brotherhood.
Then again,
like, these
I
are the
felt
bad
that
guys.
it was
These are the
okay
guys
for
you gotta
his
face.
sin because
guys.
Pride. What do you think
happy.
of whenever you think of Pride? You think of something like the military, somebody higher up and leading everybody. That's the pride of their nation. That's kind of what you think of, and I think that it was fairly fitting, whereas Raph was also okay in Brotherhood. But now some people didn't like Raph in 03. Some people didn't like, he was just a child and everything. I thought that was nice because it tied in helping Izumi develop and stuff, and I thought it was very interesting. I felt
so sorry for him.
Izumi's child.
I mean, seriously, he was a kid.
And
just,
if you think about it,
he needs a hug. He really needed it.
I don't like.
He's still a more likable child than 2009 Pride.
Yes, thank you.
2009 Pride. I didn't like 2009 Pride. Pride, he was a little crap.
Yes.
A little shit, if I'm being
at least
more
with Wrath in 03, you kind of understand
French.
that he's an actual kid.
But then again, Pride was not that bad in 09. He was still an okay. He may have not been as likable, but he was still a pretty good character, as far as the character goes itself. The way they developed his character. Even though he's evil, you can really see how sadistic and hypocritical he is.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that both series do is they provide depth and backstory and dialogue to characters that the other series doesn't.
Yeah, Kimblee, for example. Kimblee, they really do much better with his character. Like, I really respect Kimblee's character in Brotherhood. And whatever in the manga too, but in Brotherhood, like the way he is, he's a lot more funner than in the 03 series. Like in Brotherhood,
plus his personality
he's
makes him iconic.
He's also more sociopathic, I would say, than he's more psychopathic in 09.
Unlike Dante,
then again, I don't really want to discuss the differences between those. But as I was saying, 09, Kimblee, he's kind of just there as a creep, a weird guy that was sitting there. The way he was hugging Alphonse's leg before he died.
Yeah. Alphonse, you'll make such a nice bomb.
Oh my god, that
line.
09 Kimblee, and then Frank Archer came in. What did you think of the replacement for Kimblee being Frank Archer? That guy was messed up.
Hang on a sec. I swear this doesn't happen, guys.
You can appreciate Frank Archer is more of a plot tool of sorts, but he also
he wasn't as fun as Kimblee in my opinion. I really like Kimblee in 09.
Well, most anime like that need a warmongering nut job.
Yeah, they do.
even though Frank Archer turns into an official nut job after he gets the left side of his head roasted off by
he becomes the Terminator.
by the creation of the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, and Kimberly in Brotherhood definitely hands up Kimberly in Brotherhood because
Kimberly's awesome.
The way he's
in Brotherhood.
No, I said Brotherhood Kimberly because hands up he's better than 03 Kimberly. 09 Kimberly, he has more depth to him as a character itself. The way he's humorous at points, the way he plants that fake bomb on the warden's arm that was sitting there, the warden that was making fun of him, he literally does that just to play with him. And you really see right there, it's kind of an introduction to his character. He's not only this psychopath, but he's also got some humor to him as a character itself.
Yeah.
But later on you see how just how awful and twisted this guy is.
He is.
He was sitting there. He reminds me of Lad Russo a bit from Bacano. The guy, the psychopath that sits there and kills people for fun, and especially people who aren't expecting it.
Okay, here's the thing.
But that's why I say he reminds me. He's more funner.
Envy and Kimberly are partners in crime.
But
there you go.
A more accurate representation of a psychopath than in 03. But that's one thing I say Brotherhood has over 03 is Kimberly. And Olivia, too.
Yeah.
Olivia definitely was an awesome add-on. You had Lynn, you had May, and all these characters. That
also known as the Conquering Storm of that.
New characters
Olivia
that came
is
in.
an actual storm.
I have to say they were very interesting touches to see. But that reminds me, we were talking about the homunculi. Okay, Sloth. Sloth is an example of a character
that me again.
Just a plot.
Sloth was terrible in Brotherhood. I did not like Sloth. Sloth may have technically been accurate to his 7 deadly sin, but it was boring. Like literally, he's nothing.
I can put you guys
for
to sleep
nothing
with
but
my
to cause
porn
commotion. That's literally what I saw him as. That's one reason why I did not like Sloth as a character at all. He was boring. The only bit of depth we get to him, which made some sense, is whenever he has that attitude that he'd rather die than keep living because dying would be less trouble than living. That kind of attitude. That made some sense for his character, but at the same time, all the rest of it we get is, I don't know. It's much better.
Boring.
It's like it was a lot more interesting to find out that Sloth, and see, I don't think that 2003 was going much for the representations of the sins completely. Whereas they may have had some similarities to their sin. They were kind of their own people, and I don't really know what Dante's deal was with naming them after the 7 deadly sin. But
I don't know. Maybe because Dante's Divine Comedy.
It's weird.
That could be a symbol.
I would say that Sloth, it was more interesting. Being Edward's mother, having him try to transmute his mother, and later on having to face her, having to kill her, the person he did anything he could to bring back, and it was what led him to where he is now, losing his arm and his body. To see him have to face his mother. And then also that affecting not only Edward, but Alphonse and also Hohenheim. That was amazing the way they did. That was a very interesting touch. And what's interesting is because Dante is using that image against them. The fact that that enemy, Sloth, technically, is being used against Al and Ed and everything. Which is very sad in a way. It is not only interesting, but it's also sad. It has a much more grim take on things than Brotherhood did. And then
the homunculi in 03, you feel
Envy.
Oh, Envy!
Whereas Envy's suicide in Brotherhood was kind of interesting. It's very sad in a way because it brings out his character quite well. I would say his backstory in 03 was more interesting. It pulled me in more, because to find out the Envy also has ties to Hohenheim, the guy who has been gone for most of the series, Edward's father. To find out he has ties to him and everything, that was definitely interesting, and I found it very neat. And then you find out that it's also technically Edward's half brother.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I should call him a he, she, it.
Envy is a he.
He was a he in 03, and technically he's genderless in Brotherhood,
yes.
So I'm not going to go into that. But the concept about it being human transmutation to create a homunculus, I think that's very more. This is my personal opinion, but I think it's more interesting than to find out they all came from one guy.
Yeah.
They had their own. Meanwhile, they were more independent, in my opinion, in 03 than in Brotherhood. They were more independent. Minus Greed. Greed was about, considering the circumstances and possibilities that could happen in both, I would say Greed was just about as good in both. Greed Ling, though, was amazing. To bring him back and develop him like that was awesome.
Actually, Pride was pretty subservient to Dante.
What do you mean?
As in he never really had any other goals than Dante's goals.
Well, that's true. Well, I was talking about more about ones like
I guess.
Greed. Greed definitely was independent. He wanted to do his own thing. And the reason I bring this up is because the Reflections OVA even brought that out more about Greed's goals. He didn't want to be controlled by that bitch, is what he called her. And I thought that was interesting. And then we have Envy, who only joined, not only that, but that was his mother, but at the same time, it was interesting that he had relations with father, and he had his father. Yeah, his father, whatever. But his goals. He had his own goals in mind. Envy did. And then you also, oh my god, Lust. I cannot emphasize Lust enough. Lust died so soon in Brotherhood. Barely had any depth as a character whatsoever.
Yeah. Except the fact she had a close
relationship with Envy
and Gluttony. But they never show it.
Oh,
not to the fullest.
In the 2003 series, she had so much depth, so much morality to her, so much humanity. The way they humanized the homunculi in the 03 series was absolutely astounding.
Plus, I'd say Lust had the most depth of all the homunculi, though they gave the other ones quite a bit as well.
Yeah, their deaths definitely had meaning to the series. Like, as I said, Greed's death kind of changed Edward's philosophy, and watching him break down whenever he realized that he's just killed somebody, watching him break down and scream out of agony from that, it was very heartbreaking to watch how he changed his philosophy, and then to watch him have to kill his own mother, to watch him kill Sloth. And that not only affected Edward, but that also affected Wrath's development. And then we have Izumi. I really respected the way they developed Izumi and Izumi's relationship with the Elric brothers. I've also heard this, I don't know for a fact because I haven't read the manga myself, all of it. I've read a bit of it and I'm seeing some changes, but I've heard that apparently that guy, I can't even remember his name or if he had a name, but the guy that was on the island along with Edward and Alphonse,
I call him Boyd.
In 03 series, he was in the manga, but he was not in Brotherhood. So he was both in 03 and the manga, but he was not in Brotherhood.
Yeah,
which
that was something
that makes me
think
about it. Like, so Edward just kind of figures it out on his own. About
seriously, why couldn't we see Bradley with
Izumi's
a
words or whatever,
Hawaiian
and
shirt
how he's supposed
and a hat? Certainly, that'd be so
there's
fitting
a word,
for him.
the food pyramid and everything, the way that works, how they have to eat things beneath them to live and everything, and I really respected that in the 03 series. But of course, that's whenever Wrath comes in later on as well.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to Pride, and the 03 series, the 09 series Pride was definitely better than 03 Pride, which I, like, it was definitely an interesting touch that...
Okay, I'm gonna, pretty much just, we'll go on to part 2, guys.